Hey everyone, in this video we are going to talk about the VTTransaction from scratch. Okay, so first of all, let me show you how to create a new company. So once you open the VTsoftware, you will get option of create a new company. Now you have to enter the basic detail, and my company is VAT register, so I have select that checkbox. And in charts of account, I have selected company. Now I have to save that particular file to my desired location. Okay, so my company has been created. Now if I want to make any kind of modification or want to add address or something, then I have to click on this particular name. Now you can see there are so many options like name and address, base currency, VAT. Okay, then from VAT rates you can also include more rates like 5%, 12.5%, 0%. Okay, then you can also import logo. Fine, so these are the basic settings of the company. Now let's create a financial year. So you have to click here. Now I'm just entering my financial year starting from November to October 25. Okay, so it has been created. Now let me show the basic accounts. Okay, so let's go into the setup menu. And here you will get option of accounts. So you can access all accounts, bank, customers, same way suppliers. Okay, same way from ledgers you can also access accounts, and from current period you can also set up the financial year. Fine. Now same way from this option you can filter the data, like if you want to access monthly basis or quarterly basis or yearly basis, you can access the data. Fine. Now let me show you this Excel file. So this one is supplier related details. Okay, bills as well as credit note. Then below that you can see the customer related details, invoice and credit note. Okay, and this one is bank. So ultimately I'm just going to show you how to create bill, how to create credit note, how to allocate credit note. Okay, how to create sales invoice and how to create sales credit note. Then how to post bank entries and how to allocate entries. So let's start with the supplier creation. You have to just click here and set up a new account. So all in one store limited is my name of supplier, and from these options you can enter the basic details of that particular supplier. Fine. So this one is first option to create a supplier. Okay, so our supplier has been created, you can see here. Now if you want to make any kind of modification in supplier, you have to select and click on change the name or details. Okay, so you can change the name as well as basic details of the particular supplier. Same way you can also delete the supplier from here. Now let's see how to create purchase invoice. So from transaction menu there is option of purchase invoice. Same way here a shortcut button PIN. So both are same. You can also create purchase invoice as well as supplier from here. Okay, now this one is second option to create supplier. Okay, set up a new account. Just click on set up a new account and you can create supplier, and from properties you can modify the supplier details, and from delete you can delete the supplier. Okay, now let's enter the first bill. So date is 1st November 2024. Now in supplier invoice number or detail I am just entering 001. Now I have to enter the gross amount. Okay, so net amount is 100 plus 20% VAT, so 120 is gross, and I have to select the particular VAT rate. Now this one is more important, like analysis ledger. So what kind of nominal we have to select, okay, which is mandatory here. Now you can select the any kind of expenses from the expenses group. Same way if you want to select the purchase, then you have to select group of cost of sales. Then you can see the different options here. Okay, same way you can also create new account from here, so it will automatically create it under the cost of sales. Okay, so whatever group you have selected in analysis ledger, and if you create any kind of new ledger, it will create it under the particular analysis ledger. Okay, same way suppose I have selected expenses, and if I want to create any kind of new ledger, it will automatically go under the expenses group. Okay, you can see here. So let's select the cost of sales and purchases. Now in entry details you can enter the narration if required. Fine. Same way you can also insert and delete row from here if you want to add multiple row entries, etc. Now let's save this invoice. So our invoice has been saved. You can see here. So this one is our first entry, and if you click here, okay, so let me click here, so you can see the bill. From the edit selected transaction, you can edit the transactions. From general, you can change basic settings, and from entries you can change amount as well as particular nominals. Okay, you have to just select the particular account, and if you want to make any kind of change in amount, then you have to change that particular amount. Same way you can also delete transaction from here. Okay, so this one is easier. Now if you click here, then you will go into that particular supplier's account. Okay, you can see different tabs here: all entries, current entries, open entries. Currently payment is yet to pay, so all the entries fall under the open entries. Okay, once I make the payment of this, it will remove from here, and if you click there, then we'll get the same display of edit transaction and delete transactions. Fine. So in this way we can create, modify and delete the particular bill. Now let's enter the second bill. So let's create a new supplier from here, Mr. John Lim. Okay, so let me enter the date, then supply invoice number, rent 01. So amount is 200 and there is no VAT. In analysis ledger, I have selected expenses, and in analysis account, I have to select rent. Fine. So this one seems good. Now let's save this transaction. So you can see that the second transaction here. Same way, if you want to make any kind of changes, you have to click on the references. And same way, if you want to access the particular supplier, then you have to click on supplier. Now add the last one. So I have to select the same supplier. I need to change the date. Okay, so you can also see the balances of the supplier. Okay, 120 and 200. Fine. So 180 plus 30%. Fine. So that's done. So all the three bills has been created. Fine. So this part has been done. Now let's see how to create credit note. So let's go into the supplier. You can see here PIN reference, that is both are purchase invoices. So reference is starting with PIN. Okay. And if you want to create a credit note, then you can click on that particular reference, and from raise credit note, you can also create credit note. Same way, from transaction there is option of purchase credit note, and this one is shortcut PCR. Now the credit note is all in one store supplier. Okay, now you can see here, so I have to set up against the second bill. Okay, because in bank first bills payment we have already made. So purchase return, so it is just like similar to bill creation. So once you are able to create bill, then definitely you are able to create credit note. Okay, we have to select the same ledgers. Fine, so this is done. Now let me show this supplier account. So this one is purchase credit note. Now let's open the supplier. Now in open entries you can see this one. Okay, so we have to allocate credit note against the particular bill. So you can see here my bill amount is 180 and credit note amount is 60. So I have to set off the credit note against this particular bill. So to do this, you have to just select both transactions or multiple transactions. Whatever you want to set off, you have to select the transactions. Then after, you have to just click here, mutually associated the selected entries. So you can see there is such kind of allocation mark, okay, in front of those two transactions. So both the transactions are now interlinked. And if you want to remove this, then you have to select the transaction and click here. Fine. Now let's allocate again. Now the credit note has been allocated against that particular purchase invoice. Fine. So credit note part is also done. Now let me show you how to create sales invoice. So you have to go into the customer. So from here you can set up a new customer. Fine. And let's create all the customers from the sales invoice. So from transaction there is option of sales invoice, as well as a button is here, SIN, so you can create directly from here. Now first of all, let's create the customer. Now enter the basic details of the customers. Okay, so I'm just entering basic detail of the sales invoice. Okay, so this one is also similar like bill creation. So all the layout in VTTransaction is similar, so it is easy to use. So you can see that in same way we can edit and delete the transaction. Same way we can also raise credit note against this particular entry. Okay, all options are same. So this one is done. Now let's create the second sales invoice of RP store. So RP store is here. Now just change the date, 8 November 2024, then sales 2. Now let me enter the gross value. Okay, so this one is done. So our both sales invoice has been created successfully. Okay, so in this way we can create sales invoice, we can modify sales invoice, and we can delete the sales invoice. Now let's create a credit note against that particular sales invoice of SMT store. So here there is option of SCR. Same way in transaction you can find the option of sales credit note. Okay, so they are both options you can use. Now select the customer. Now enter the date, then service sold. Okay, so I'm just entering narration like sales return, then enter the amount. You have to select the same ledger here. So it's done now. So you can see now invoices is created, same way credit note also created. Now we have to allocate the credit note against the invoices. So come into the customer option. Now I have just selected both transactions and just click here, mutually associated both the transactions. Fine. So you can see the allocation mark against the both entries. Okay. And once you make payment or once fully allocate the credit note, it will remove from open entries tab. Okay. So sales credit note has been done. So majority stuff, I mean, we can say the half of the bookkeeping is over. Like you are able to create customers, suppliers, fine. Then bills, invoices, credit notes. Okay. And you can also access the ledgers from here. Okay. Now let's create a bank account. So currently there are 3 default accounts: current, deposit, and petty cash. You can also change properties of that particular account, and you can also create new account from here. So my account name is NetWest. Okay, same way you can set the basic detail of that particular bank account. Fine. So this one is my bank. So you can see the different entries here. Okay, such kind of direct entries and supplier payment, customer receipts. So in transaction menu, you can see the option of payment, check payment, receipt, and transfer. So if you are making payment via check, then you have to select the check payment option. Otherwise, you can also directly make from the payment. Okay, there is not an issue. And in same way, you can see the different shortcut buttons: payment, check payment, receipt, and transfer. Okay, so now let's make the first receipt. Okay, so in bank, you can see the receipt from the director in our business bank account. So in transaction, I select receipt, as I can use the shortcut key. Now I have to select that particular bank from here. Now just need to enter the date received from director. You can also mention the name of that particular director. Then total amount is 1000. Okay. Now in analysis ledger, I have to select the director loan account or director control account. Okay. So you can see here director's account under creditors group. So our first entry has been done. Now if you click here, you will get the same layout. From this particular layout, you can edit the transaction, you can delete the transaction, you can reverse the entries. Okay. So in edit, you can see the two options, journal and entries. So if you want to make any kind of basic modification, you can use journal, and if you want to change ledger or amount, you can use entries. Fine. So our first entry has been done. Now you have to just click here. So you can see the current year's entry. Okay, 1000. So you can also see the balance carry forward amount. So this amount you have to match with your statement, and here there is reconciliation also. Fine. So whenever you are doing the bank entry, you have to keep in mind you have to match your balances after each entries. So this one is done. Now let's go to the second entry. We have made payment to our supplier all in one store. So just click on enter payment. Okay. And you can also use check payment. Fine. So let me change the date, then paid to all in one store. Amount is 120, no VAT. Now here I have to select the supplier account. Fine. So just select the supplier, and in analysis account, you have to select the name of that particular supplier. Just save it and it's done. Okay. So if you click here, you will get the same options from you can edit and delete the transactions. And if you click on the supplier, you can see the entries. Okay. So I have to allocate this particular payment to that particular bill. So you can see it has been removed from here. Okay. Because we have set off the pending bill against the payment. Okay. Against the payment which we have made. So in current year, you can access the transactions. And if you want to break the link, then you have to select that particular entries and you can click on cancel. Okay. So whatever entries we are doing here, we of supplier payment or customer receipt, we have to set off manually here. Okay. Same way, let me show the next option. So in transaction, there is option of payment and receipt. Okay. So this one is a shortcut way by which you can do the bank entries quickly. So you can see enter 1 for payment, 2 for check payment, and 3 for receipts. So our is payment. So I enter the 1. So this one is payment voucher. Now you have to enter the date, the name of the supplier, then amount. Okay. And analysis ledger, you have to select the supplier and you have to select the name of supplier. Okay. So this one is done. So in this way, you can also post quick entries as compared to normal one. Okay. Now let's go for the next entry. So this one is receipt entry from assembly store. So I press 3. Okay. Now I am just entering the basic detail of the transaction. So this one is also done. Same way, I have received amount from RP store. So 3, then date, then name of the customer, amount, analysis ledger. We have to select customer and name of the customer. Okay. Now let's go for the next entry of SMT store. So let me change the date. So 10th November, SMT store, then amount, customer, and SMT store. So this one is done. Okay. Now the next entry is of bank charging. So let me come out of this. You have to just click save to save all transactions. And I'm going to book bank charges in normal way. So let's save these transactions. So you can see on the display various transactions. Now let me show the bank reconciliation. Okay, you can see the closing balance 932 is here. Okay, so everything seems good. Now let's enter the next transaction of bank charges from payment. So we have not created any kind of bill, we have to directly book this one. Okay, so paid to bank charges, then enter the amount. Analysis ledger is expense and analysis ledger is bank charges. Okay, so this one is also done. Now let's talk about the next entry. Okay, so next entry is regarding to O2 telecommunication. Okay, so I have to also claim VAT here. Okay, though I have made the payment and I haven't booked any kind of invoices, but from here I can claim the VAT. Fine, so just use the same voucher, payment voucher. Okay, you can also create a new account if you want to create, otherwise you can directly book from here. So I'm just directly making entry paid to O2, then amount is 45, which is including VAT. So I have to select 20% here. Now in expense I'll simply select telephone and internet. Okay, now just save the transactions and close it. So this one is done. So all the entries has been done successfully. Fine, you can see now in the reconciliation closing it 878. Okay, now let's add one another entry of bank transfer. Like I am just withdrawing cash from my bank and amount is 78. Fine, now closing would be 800. Okay, so let me show you how to book this kind of transaction of transfer. So close this one and transactions, transfer. Okay, now you have to enter the date, then you can add details if required. Then transfer to, I have to select petty cash because we are withdrawing cash. Okay, and amount is 78 pound, and transfer from, I have to select that particular bank. So it will be deduct from bank and amount will be added in petty cash. Now save the transaction. Now you can see our closing is around 800, which is matching with our Excel bank statement. Okay, so in this way we can book payment, receipt and transfer entries. Fine, so you can also access the supplier account from here now. Okay, so one by one I have to allocate the payment entries against that particular purchase bills in this way. Once I do it, it will remove from open entries tab. Okay, because the payment has been made. And if you want to remove allocation mark, you can do the same from here. Okay, so it will again come in open entries tab. Okay, now let's match those transactions again. So this one is done. Same way I have to do in customer. Just let me allocate both the transaction. So in SMT store you can see the sales invoice, credit note as well as receipt. So I am just selecting all transaction. Okay, because asset size the amount is 240 and liability side also 240. So everything will be equal. Now I'm just selecting all the transaction and just click here. Okay, so it will remove from open entries to current entries. Fine. Now majority of the stuff done. We have see that how to create bills, credit notes, sales invoice. Okay, then how to allocate the credit notes and bank transactions. Fine. So majority of the bookkeeping stuff over here. Okay, only reporting generation part is pending. Okay, so let's talk about how to generate various reports and all. Fine. So for reports, you have to come into the display menu. Here you can see the different reports like transactions, trial balance, standard trial balance, profit and loss account, balance sheet. Okay. And you can also see the shortcut key against that particular report. Okay. So you can also use the shortcut keys. Fine. So let's see the first report, trial balance. So this one is my trial balance. And from bottom left, you can access the different options. Okay. Now to get or to generate the PDF, you have to just click here. Okay, so there is option of print as well as PDF. You can also change the style, page setup. Fine, you can make modification. And if you want to do in Excel, then you have to click here. Then you have to select the transaction in this way. Then just click here. Okay, so all the details has been copied. Now in Excel, you have to simply you have to simply use Control plus V, that is paste. Fine. So this one is also done. So you can see our trial balance is here. Now let's talk about the next report. So let's talk about the profit and loss account. So you can see the profit and loss account in options. You can see the different options like comparatives and all. If you require comparative, then you can add from them. Same way you can see the balance sheet. Okay. So all the reports you can extract in same way like PDF as well as in Excel. So this one is edge analysis report. Okay. Already on store. 120 is still remaining to pay. Same way in customers, you can see there are no transactions. Fine. And in transactions, so let's talk about the transaction list. And from here you can see the transaction by its type like payment transaction, receipt transaction, bills, credit note. Okay, so there is voucher wise bifurcation. Same way you can also access all accounts from here. Fine. So this one is VAT return. Now just click on new VAT return. Now you have to enter your particular period. Either it might be monthly or quarterly. You can use as per your requirement. Just click on continue. So you can see the VAT return, same way output VAT data, input VAT data, as well as backup report. Okay. So backup report is regarding to that particular transactions. Now, if you want to auto post the adjustment entry, then you can click yes. Otherwise, you can click no. Okay. So I need entries. So I simply click yes. So you can see the auto entry. Okay. So this one is journal entry. Okay. So this entry is auto book by the software. Now this one is VAT return output. You can also take printout in this way. Fine. Same way for output VAT. And you can also extract backup report. So this one is backup report. Okay. So VAT related all the reports you can extract from the VAT return option. Fine. So this one is also good report. Okay, so I think majority reports has been done. You can see the option of journals also here. Like if you want to book journal in classic style, like suppose if I want to chart depreciation on my particular fixed asset, so I can book in this way. Okay, so in expense, I will select the depreciation account, and in fixed asset, I can select my assets. Okay. Use the journal for booking adjustments like wages, payroll, and direct related adjustment, VAT related adjustments. And another option is trial balance style journal. Okay. So if you want to add opening balances, then you can use this journal. So this one is also good option to add opening balances. Fine. So I have to enter the date, and one by one I have to enter the amount here. Okay. And you can also import transactions. Okay. So there is option of universal input sheet. So you can import the transaction from here. Okay. So importing process I'll explain in the next videos, that how to import the transactions in VTsoftware. Okay. So this one is basic video of VTTransaction. So I have covered majority of the topics of basic bookkeeping. Fine. And if you have any kind of queries or doubt, you can ask me in comments. Fine. Otherwise, you can also contact me on Instagram, or you can mail me directly. Fine. So majority of the parts we have covered, like supplier creation, customer creation, then bill creation, modification of bill, credit note creation, sales invoice creation, sales credit note creation, and bank entries. Okay. And lastly, we have also seen the different reports. Okay. So this is for today. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, David, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.